Hey everybody, Terry Wallman here, and I'm at the Colony Theater in Burbank, California with artistic director Barbara Beckley, who I'm doing a really wonderful play with. It's called Words by Ira Gershwin. It's the Gershwin story about the American Songbook, but I'm not really here to talk about the play as much as I'm here to talk about the theater and Barbara. So, first of all, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
It's so lovely to be here.
Oh, thanks. And it's really lovely to be in what I consider your home, this theater.
It is my home.
Yeah.
Yes. I go home to sleep.
You did, good.
Other than that, I'm here.
I know that you're an actress, and I know that you've been doing this your whole life.
I was.
You were an actress.
I don't do it anymore.
Okay. The really amazing thing about this is that you've been doing this for 40 years. We're in your 40th year of having the Colony Theater, is that correct?
I was one of the founders. I was 12.
Of course. Which makes it even more remarkable that as a young 12-year-old girl that you would have the wisdom and the foresight to put together your own theater. What possessed you, and what to have this be your calling, as well as being, obviously you're an artistic person and you have a passion for theater and creativity, but how did to take this on?
Oh gosh, you want the short version or the long version?
I want the true version.
Okay. I was really lucky. I grew up in New Rochelle, New York, which is a suburb of New York City.
Yes.
And my parents started taking me to Broadway musicals when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
First show I ever saw was Mary Martin in Peter Pan.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
Is it any wonder?
Yeah.
And then a bunch of other those great musicals from the 50s. And every time I went to the theater, I was home. I was home.
Were they actors also, or they just really enjoyed the arts and wanted to expose you?
No, it was just in New York. My father was in business in New York in those days. Out of town clients, dinner, Broadway show. Broadway was a very big deal. Well, it still is.
Yes.
But that's what you did with out of town clients. And whenever my mother saw something she thought my sister and I would like, she would surprise us with tickets in our Christmas stockings or Easter baskets or whatever. And as I said, and it was very strange because my older sister, who was in charge, we were little, but when the show was over, she'd enjoyed it thoroughly, but she was ready to leave. I didn't want to leave. I wanted to find the stage door, get backstage, be part of it.
Yeah.
And she kept dragging me. Come on, come on, come on. I thought she was really strange. There was something missing in her personality that she didn't want to be part of that. And it wasn't until I grew up, or years later, that I realized she was normal. And I was the one who was a little odd.
Right.
But I never wanted to do anything other than be in the theater. And in those days, for a girl, it was acting.
Right.
Which I loved.
Yes.
And that's what I studied for all my life, and that's what I was headed for. And then when I came out here, and there was a situation in Los Angeles where if your theater had fewer than 100 seats, you could just be Mickey and Judy, and even if you had a union card, you could get together and say, let's put on a show.
With an equity waiver, 99 seater.
The 99 seat.
Right, yes.
And so we started just thinking it would be fun to do for a while.
For a while. Nice.
As John Lennon said, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans.
Yeah, yes.
Because we just kept going.
Yes.
And we had an artistic director who was with us for the first 9 years, and I was kind of his second. I sort of did everything he wasn't interested in, which was the business, which my 3 semesters of college and 2 years at the neighborhood playhouse had prepared me for.
Right. Yeah.
Thoroughly.
Absolutely.
Of course. But it was just a place for me to act.
Yeah, I learned about business by working in clubs and trying to get our money at the end of the night from the bar owner.
There you go. That's how you learn.
Yes.
Anyway, so he, after 9 years, he moved on to greener pastures, and it kind of landed in my lap. And for the first few years after that, I just kind of considered myself a caretaker.
Right.
With other members, we had an acting company, and we all kind of came together and kept it going. And I kept hoping that somebody would come along to lead us, so I could get out from under and get back to acting.
Right.
Then I had an epiphany. And it was, I swear, it was Paul on the Road to Damascus. Because it was a show we were doing that, it was a brand new play, and nobody was terribly enthusiastic about it, but we had committed to it, so we were doing it, and I ended up stage managing because I couldn't get anybody else to do it, so I'm back there in the booth. But the thing about doing the show was it was so collaborative because we would sit up, there were several of us, the director, me, you know, others, we'd sit up late at night trying to figure out how to make the thing work. And we brought in some Bruce Springsteen songs, and we, you know, oops, we didn't have the rights, oh well. You know, it was a whole collaborative thing, just trying to get away with it. So, okay, opening night, we didn't preview in those days, we opened cold, there's the press, there's VIPs, everybody. And I'm back in the booth, calling the show as the stage manager, totally anonymous. And I noticed, listening on the monitor and watching through the smoke glass windows, it was working. People were laughing. And then in the second act, when things got serious, there was this silence we wait for, that you can cut with a knife. That means they've stopped breathing because they're so engaged. And then it ended with this fabulous Bruce Springsteen song, which I had
chosen,
come up with.
And
the lights went out, and the audience started applauding. And then the actors were coming out and they started cheering. And then the leading actor came out and they were on their feet cheering. And I looked at him and he looked like he was in a warm shower. And then I realized, sitting back there in the anonymity of the booth, my name was in the program, nobody knew who I was or what I had to do with it. I felt exactly the same way. And I thought at that moment, how many people go their whole lives without feeling the way I feel right now? In other words, I didn't need to be up there.
You felt
what I loved most was putting the elements, or helping, not me, but because it's very collaborative.
You're guiding.
Being part of putting all the elements together and then watching it meet the audience. And it's so funny because now, to this day, I stand in the back of the theater, up there in the standing room, and it's like watching my kid at a recital, because if it's not working, you know, it's like my kids hitting clunkers, and people are saying, "Oh, get this kid off the stage," and I want to kill myself.
And Barbara's at every show.
I don't watch every show. I listen on.
But you were hands-on. You're involved from conception.
But then when it's working, it's like, oh, my kid is up there shining, and people are saying, "Oh, who is this kid? Isn't he good?" You know, that's exactly. See, I forgot to have children.
I did too.
You know,
I understand that.
So they're my kids. The shows are my kids. And I have to say, I love all my children. Some more than others.
I was actually I considered putting you on the spot and asking if you have favorite productions through all the years, or
always. Oh, of course I do.
I know that there are moments that are just so magical.
But there are so many. Some huge hits. Years and years ago, we did a production of the musical Sideshow, which was a huge hit, and to this day, one of my favorites. And then a few years back, we did a play by Michael Galamko called Year Zero, set in the Cambodian community in LA. We didn't know this. It's a beautiful, beautiful play about the American immigrant experience, which, you know, we're all familiar with. We're a nation of immigrants. And it was a beautiful play. It didn't get a whole lot of attention, but oh my goodness, the acting, the direction, the writing, and it really illuminated a part of our community that people don't know anything about. Because there's a huge Cambodian community in Long Beach, and everybody there is either a survivor or related to a survivor of the genocide. So that was a very big deal for me, and but so it varies, you know. I have a lot of favorites.